Hello everyone and welcome. Today I'll be shooting a Mustang EcoBoost and my client's going to come to the first spot in about a couple hours and I'll be walking you through on how I take my pictures. For the first spot I'll be using the Canon 24mm f2.8 and for the interior shots. But for the sunset shots I'll be using the Canon 50mm f1.8, so that's going to give me the best photos for sunsets. So I'll see you there. Alright, now I'm in Lightroom and I'll be showing you how I edited my photos. So the photo from the first spot, this is the main photo that I've taken, and for this photo what I've done is I've went to the basic panel, I've lowered the highlights and lowered the blacks so it just adds a bit of contrast, and then I added a bit of texture so it emphasizes the background. And then after that I'm going to leave the tone curve alone, then go to HSL And for hue in oranges, I'm going to decrease the orange like quite a bit, about -50. So it's going to make the oranges a bit red because this car is red, and because of the sunlight, major portion of the car was very orange. So it just makes the color more, true to life basically. And then for green, I'm going to push that to +50. And it's just gonna darken up the greens, like it's gonna make it like a very vibrant green. And then for saturation, I'm going to decrease all the saturations for the colors that I don't need, like magenta, purple, blue, and aqua. Then for luminance, I'm gonna decrease the luminance for orange because of the sunlight. That portion of the car that was orange was also very bright. So this just darkens it up and makes it very, very real. And then after that, we're going to go to color grading, and for highlights, I'm going to add a bit of warmth to the highlights by adding 35 in the hue and 30 for the saturation. And then for the shadows, I'm going to add 200 in hue and 30 in saturation. So it just adds a bit of blue in the shadows, so it contrasts really well with the warm vibe. And then after that, I'm going to detail and add 70 to sharpening, and hold Alt or Command on Mac, and then drag the masking slider, and whatever is white, that's being selected to be sharpened. So drag it until you only have the car selected, so it doesn't add a lot of unnecessary noise. After that, we're going to lens correction and just check all the boxes. It's going to make it much better, the photo. It gets rid of a lot of the vignetting, like the darkening up the corners. So it's going to make your photos much better. And then after that, we're going to calibration, and we're just going to leave that alone. We don't need to worry about that. And then for graduated filter, just click this box right here. We're going to add a graduated filter from the corner right here. And we're going to add a bit of exposure and warmth to it by adding more temperature with a temperature slider. And then with the radial filter, this circle right here, we're going to select over the car, and then we're going to add exposure. So basically it's going to brighten up the car and then make the car stand out from the entire background. And then we're going to do the same for the wheels, like add a bit of exposure to the wheels so the wheels stand out. And then we're going to select the brush tool right here, this brush tool. Then we're going to select over the window on the left right here, and then we're going to decrease the exposure on it so it darkens it up and it makes it look like it works very well with the entire background and the entire car, and it stands out as like very dark, so the entire car seems like it's more brighter, even though the window is what we just darkened up. So now I'm just going to show you the result and how this photo looks after all the edits. So that's the photo right there. This is what I was talking about, the radial filter. This is the radial filter over the car. We added exposure, and we added a bit of, we brought up a lot of the shadows by 75. And then right here for the wheels, we added a bit of contrast and exposure so the wheels stand out. And then for the graduated filter, right there in the corner, we added a lot of exposure and a lot of warmth with the temperature slider, we added about 50. And then with another graduated filter in the bottom, we're going to decrease the exposure so the ground in front of the car becomes very, very dark, and it contrasts really well with the car, so the car seems like it's much brighter even though it's really not. And it also keeps your focus on the car, and you don't have your eyes does not stray away from the car because the ground in front of the car is not important. So if we darken it up, it looks very good in the entire photo and works really well with the entire thing. Now I'm going to show you how I edited one of the sunset photos. Alright, this photo right here. I really like this photo, and I'll be showing you how I edited this. So go to basics and add a lot of temperature to the entire picture. So because it's sunset, you want to add a lot of warmth. So adding about 6,000 is good. And then for the blacks, we're going to decrease the blacks about -25. So this, dark parts of the car, they become very, very dark if you decrease the blacks, which is very good when it comes to sunset photos, because you don't want details in the grills showing up, because those are unnecessary details. You want the car showing up, not the very, rudimentary details. Then we're going to add a bit of clarity and add a bit of dehaze. So what dehaze does is it gets rid of a lot of the haze in the environment. So it basically darkens up everything and saturates everything. If you look in the sky, sometimes you'll see like a lot of some sort of gases there you can't really see through. That's basically haze. So dehaze basically darkens up the entire image and saturates everything. Then for the tone curve, we're going to leave that alone. And for HSL, we're also going to not do anything here. Then for color grading, we're going to add a bit of warmth to the highlights. So 35 in the hue and 20 for the saturation in the highlights. And then we go to detail, and same thing, 70 for sharpening, and drag the masking slider until it only sharpens the car. And then for lens correction, we're going to check all the boxes. And then for calibration, we're going to decrease the blues to about -25. So it just makes the yellows more orangish, so which is a good thing, because during sunsets, a lot of the colors are very golden, look like gold-like. It looks very orange. So this basically makes the entire photo a bit more orangish, and it works very well during sunset times. And that's basically it. And thank you guys so much for watching, and let me know down in the comments below what you think of this whole video, and let me know if you guys learned anything new. Like and subscribe, and thank you so much for watching.